Hey guys, welcome back to Linda's Resin Room. So what I'm going to do today with Easter coming up is make this cross that I just got in the mail. I bought this off of Amazon and I just got it a few days ago, but I couldn't think of what I wanted to do with it, but now I have an idea. I've got these rocks I got at the Dollar General and I thought I would fill those up, try to glue in one of these fairy lights, and then fill it with some resin, just clear resin, with some crushed crystal unicorn art in it. And that's my idea. Will it work? I don't know, because I know working with these lights can test your patience, we'll just say. It can be very difficult. And these are clear, I think. Clear yellow. Yeah, that's what I want. I've got these in multiple different colors. I've had them for quite some time. They came off of Amazon also. But anyways, I've got my resin mixing up. It's already in the debubbler. So let's see if we can get enough down in there. I'm hoping to do 2 coats of the stones. If I can do 1 coat and glue the lights, maybe do the resin and then glue the lights. I'm talking to myself, trying to think of what would be the best way to do this, because I could do 1 layer, pour resin in, let it cure, and then glue the lights to the top of that, cover it with more stones, and see how that would work. I'm not sure, because this is a pretty deep mold. I think I would be able to do that. I just don't want to risk the stones poking up. I'm trying to find some flat, smaller ones to stick down in some of these gaps. I think I could do that with this mold. I'm going to flip him over. I don't like him being that high. Can't get a hold of him. And that's a big one. I can lay them flat. And he flipped back up. There we go. Well, maybe tweezers. Oh. Maybe then I could get these bigger ones to lay down a little better. Okay. Need a little flat one. There's a little one. He fit down in there. He still needs a buddy. These stones are multiple sizes, so it's just finding the right ones to go down in there. That one's kind of big. Take him out. Find me a thin one. And that one's flipped up. Okay. I think that's going to be the best for me, because I don't think I'll be able to glue these lights down to that. So we're going to do 1 layer, let it cure, come back, use the UV resin, put the lights in, fill it with another layer of rocks, and pour some more resin in. And each time I'm going to mix in just a little bit of the crystal. Now the base, I'm not going to do any lights in the base. Just the cross. So I'm just going to fill the base up with stones. And the thing is, with bigger molds like this, filling them with stones, you don't have to have as much resin either, because it's going to take up quite a bit of space. And I know these, I don't want a pointed one. These are not going to float. Okay, just want to make sure that he's flat. I'm just going to pick some big ones out. I think it's too big, or if it's not letting it be level. I like the little flat ones. It's still quite high. Okay, I think that'll be enough stones. All right, my resin it's been in there for 8.5 minutes, and it looks good to go. So let's get this out. Let it depressurize. Okay, I mixed up 8 ounces, 240 gram. I did it by weight, 115 part B, 125 part A. And now I'm going to just get a little out at a time because I don't think I'm going to need all this. And I've got another project I want to do. So let's see. I'm going to do about half and half. Let's go ahead and put some crystal in here. And just remember, a little of this goes a long way. I think the crystal with the lights is going to look really pretty. Okay. Let's put bubbles back in the resin that I just got out of the bubble remover, right? I think that's too much of the crystal. Shouldn't have put that much. It's quite a bit. I'm hoping this will go around all these stones. And it may not. I may have to move them around to get it on the bottom. Or I could just flood coat it once it's done to get them covered. I want to make sure I have enough room to put more stones on top of it. Okay. Now let's see about pouring the rest of this. And hopefully I won't have any bubbles. Hopefully it will go down in every one of these crevices down in there. Okay, I do need a little more. I'm just going to put it in the cup. I'm not going to add any more crystal because I think there's enough in this cup. And I think it's, just stir that up. Okay. Now let's continue to pour. Trying to make sure it's at least covering every single stone. That one just seems like he's poking up. Get all of this in there. And I still may need just a little more. So far I've used 4 ounces of resin. And this is going to be the bottom, so I have got to make sure that there are no stones sticking through this, that every one are completely covered and it is completely flat. Because they have moved a little on me as I'm trying to fill it up. Okay, let's see if that's domed. Not quite. I think it could use just a little more. I do want to poke around in it. So I know there's some bubbles down in there. But I may take some of these stones out. If I have any sticking up, I'm definitely going to be taking a few out. I think I might be able to get every one of them down in there, maybe. No. We'll see. Let's put just a little more resin down in there. Okay. They're completely covered, every single one of them. So that is awesome. Slightly domed. Now, I'm going to poke around and move them a little bit to see if I can release any bubbles down in there. Get them coated. It would probably been a better idea if I'd put just a little resin down and then dropped my stones. But I think it'll work this way too. I see a few bubbles that came up. I'm moving it around. Okay. Let them all come out of there. And I'll probably just spritz it with some alcohol after it's set for a few minutes. All right, guys, I think that's it. I need a paper towel. We'll leave that alone. And once this cures, we'll come back and finish it. All right. I think I'm going to get my alcohol and just give it a little spritz. I do see a bubble down in there. I'm going to pick him out and just look. And if I see any, I'm going to pluck them out. There's a few that need to come up still to the main top here, I think. All right. That's it, guys. We're going to let this cure and hopefully get some lights attached, put some more rocks, and cover it back over. All right. I'll see you when this is ready to do part 2. See you guys then. Hey guys, so this first layer has cured. So I'm going to get my lights and I'm going to start putting them into the mold with some UV resin. And I'm just going to hold it in certain places with the UV resin. Now, when I'm first putting these lights in here, I'm thinking about putting the switch at the top. And I start putting them down in there and I start thinking about it. And I realize that if the switch is at the top, where is it going to sit? I was thinking about laying it on the top of the cross there, but then I thought, well, it might make more sense if I put it at the bottom. And I was trying to get all of the wire in at one time so I could just UV all of it at once, and it's not working. So you'll see me here in just a minute. I'm going to take all of the wire out and I'm going to start doing it piece by piece. And I only do so much of it and then I stop the video. Here's where I'm deciding that I'm going to do just a little bit at a time. And then I start thinking, well, let's put it at the bottom, not the top. So you'll see me start to put my first UV resin down there. And I'm just going to put a little dot as I'm holding that down, hoping that it doesn't get my gloves, because you guys know how clumsy I am. And I'm just working with it. And then there goes my little dot of UV resin. I'm not using very much. And I'm just going to hold my light on it for a short period of time. And I'm going to continue doing this. And I'm going to place the lights where I want them. That way they're not one on top of the other. And guys, if you've noticed, I'm doing a voiceover for this video because my sound did not record on my video when I recorded it. So hang tight with me, guys. I'm going to put another little layer of UV resin up here at the top. Now I will have some areas you'll see of the wire in a few places that stick up a little more than just laying flat. And I'm not worried about that because I want to get these lights in there first, and then I'm going to pour a little bit of resin in there and put some more of the stones on top of it. And I think that will hold down the wire. Now you can tell with these fairy lights that wire is so thin, and it can be a little irritating trying to get them to stay down, but you do have to have some patience. I am being very careful with the UV, trying to make sure that I don't get it on my gloves because I do not want to attach myself to the cross with my gloves. And you guys know how clumsy I am. I'm just spacing out the lights here, and because I don't want one light on top of the other, and I'm just doing a little bit at a time. And you'll notice that I don't hold the light very long over top of the UV resin. I'm being very careful not to pull it loose, because UV resin, you can barely touch it sometimes and it will pop loose if it's not completely cured. I do plan on putting this under my UV lamp I'm going to put it where it can cure both top and bottom at the same time. And here you go, you see me doing that. I'm going to put that in there. I put it for 5 minutes. I had already completely did all of the UV, and you'll notice down at the bottom with the switch that I did put some of the thicker wire down into the piece, because this thin wire will break very easy if you leave it out. So I probably put a centimeter or two down in there when I use the UV to hold it down. Now I've mixed up 3 ounces of resin 1-to-1, and I put a little bit of my crushed crystal in there, just like I did with the first. I'm putting a thin layer of resin down first, which is what I wished I did when I did the stones the first time, because this thin layer is going to help prevent having any bubbles under the rocks, to make sure that they are completely coated. And you'll see I don't even need all of the 3 ounces, and you'll see that when we're done. But I'm just making sure all the wire is covered in the resin and I don't have any bubbles, because you guys know resin can bubble up. I am going to take a little alcohol and spritz it down. There's where I'm telling you that I put the wire down in there, because you don't want the fairy wire, the thin wire, sticking out, or it will break off. I'm going to spritz it down with a little alcohol here, just to pop any bubbles that might arise. And then I'm going to start getting my stones, and I'm going to be very picky with my stones. I want more flat stones. I don't want huge ones, and I'm going to very carefully place these through this whole piece. You'll see me start throwing stones down that I don't want to use, because I don't want them sticking out. Even though this is going to be the back and it doesn't really need to be flat because it's going to be standing up, I still do not want the stones poking out. So I'm just picking through these little stones and placing them where I want them. I'm using some bigger stones, some smaller stones, and I'm just going to place them through the whole cross. And I did get these stones at the Dollar General. They were like $3 for the whole container, and I think I end up using about half of the container for this little cross, because I do use quite a bit of them. But you can see here how I'm just placing the stones. I don't want any areas to where you're going to see the wire. Even though I know it's the back, I still don't want to see the wire. I want the lights to shine through it, and I'm hoping that I'm not covering the lights over, which I very well may be. I'm hoping they'll still shine through it, because the resin is clear, and it does have that little bit of crushed crystal in there to try to give it a little bit of a sparkle. There you can see I turned the stone over because of it was more flat on one side and pointy on the other, and I wanted the flat side down because they fit better putting the flat side on the resin. If I put the pointy side, then it wants to stick up out of the mold. And I'm just continuing to pick out stones, and you see I'm starting to throw some to the side, and I'm just doing each little area. I think this little corner I could have covered the wire up just a little bit better than what I do, but it is the back, so I'm hoping the front's going to be pretty. I don't want to be able to see all wire through the front of the piece. I want to be able to see the stones and have them just to light up. But you can see I'm going to throw all those to the side because I didn't like the rest of those. I thought they were too big and too thick. I want the more flat, smaller stones, because there are some areas that I do need those to put in there. And this is just like a puzzle piece. It's just figuring out which stones will work, which ones are too thick, because we do want it to be pretty. And I think, you'll see me, I keep pushing them down because they do move as I add more, and I just keep pushing them down, trying to flatten them out. But it's just finding the ones that I can use. If I was just doing one layer, then I could use the bigger stones, But since this is 2 layers and I don't have a whole lot of room left in this mold, then I do want to use the smaller ones. And there you see me pushing it down again, just making sure I don't have no pieces poking up. And it helps to push the rocks apart some when I'm pushing them down so that they're not all on top of each other. And I'm just picking through the stones and finding some that I can fit in these gaps. And it, like I said, it does take some time. Even though this cross isn't that big, it's taking a lot of time. And I didn't like any more of those, so I'm pouring out some more. And I'm just finding some little ones that I can fill in these gaps. And you'll see I do have some bigger stones in there because I don't want them all to be the same size. I do want them to be kind of spread apart just a little. I want big stones, little stones. And I'm almost finished. We're getting to the end of putting our stones in there. I accidentally dropped 2 in there at the same time, but good thing is they did work. And I'm just continuing to pick up some little stones to put to the sides. And we are almost to the bottom. I'm hoping these stones don't push the mold out down at the bottom, because I do want it to fit into the base. And the base is completely cured. We did it all in one pour because of we didn't put any lights in the base. And I'm just flattening them out again. Make sure that they fit. We only need a few more. And I think I end up throwing these to the side too. Maybe. I don't really remember. I know I just dropped a few. Nope. I think we're almost there. And I'm just flattening them out again, trying to make them fit. And moved them a little too much. It still does need one more down at the bottom, I think, because there's a little gap there. Yep, threw those stones to the side. I'm looking for 1 or 2 more flat, small ones that I can put in those little spaces at the bottom. It's a little difficult to do this with gloves. Alright, now we're going to take the rest of our resin, and I think I'm looking for another stone. There's a little gap still at the bottom. I'm just wanting to put another little stone in there. Trying to make sure that it's not sticking up through the mold. Alright, now we're taking some more resin and we're going to just pour over top of these stones. And once we get the resin over top of the stones, we'll be able to tell if any of them are sticking up or not. Just a little bit more. Okay, now I'm just going to take my stick and I'm going to poke, kind of put some pressure on them and just press them down and try to make sure that they're not sticking up through the resin. I do want to dome it just a little bit. Because if you dome it just a little bit, then it will cure flat. If you don't dome it, then you have this lip around the edge that you have to trim off. So that's all I'm doing now, is I'm just putting a little bit more resin on there to make sure those stones are covered and that I do have this domed just a little. Trying to make sure none are sticking out. I'm just pressing them down. And that's it, guys. I'm going to spritz it down with some more alcohol just in case there are some more bubbles. But that's it, and I will see you back when it's time to demold this. Alright guys, so this is cured. I can feel some of the stones sticking out through the back. Not many, but I'm okay with that because it is the back. It's not really going to matter a whole lot. Let's see if I can, I've got some overage. It's making it difficult to grab a hold of that. I'm going to have a little cleanup. Let's see if we can get the base out first. Okay. And get across. Definitely got some cleanup to do. There's some yellow on some of those stones. I wished I'd seen it. I would have flipped it over. But there's our light. Let me turn the light over here off. And then turn this ring light off. Isn't that pretty? And let's see, it goes. Oh, and it fits perfect. There we go. All right, guys. I'll see you back for the next video.